Well, it looks like Marvel Studios has been really pondering and thinking about their plan, how to move forward with the MCU, including how to market everything, and it looks like there's been a big shift in their strategy. However, Marvel Studios is not the only studio who are kind of shaking things up right now, and it sounds like Disney in general is changing a lot of what they're doing internally. DC Studios is also shaking up the game a little bit as well. Now, we knew that Marvel Studios was not going to be attending San Diego Comic-Con Hall H this year, but now we are finding out that DC is not going to be attending either, and a lot of other big studios are skipping Comic-Con this year as well. According to an article by The Wrap titled, "Why Are Most of the Big Studios Skipping Comic-Con This Year?" exclusive, they state, Marvel Studios, Lucasfilm, Star Wars, Warner Bros., which is DC, Legendary, responsible for movies like Dune and Godzilla, Sony, Spider-Man of course, Lionsgate, movies like John Wick, and Paramount, movies like Star Trek, are all skipping a film presence at the conference's famed Hall H, the 6,500-seat venue that has traditionally served as a launchpad for major franchise announcements and the premiere of exclusive sneak peeks. Then they state something that is worth noting. They say, the absence of many of the largest genre franchises, Marvel and DC movies in particular, is curious timing, considering superhero movies are at an inflection point. For years, superhero movies have long dominated the box office, as well as Comic-Con's Hall H, but success has been elusive in 2025. And with disappointments like Marvel's Captain America Brave New World and Thunderbolts, both of which failed to crack $500 million at the worldwide box office, the genre is now facing a harsh reality check. Now, this may sound really bad, but I actually think that this is pretty good. I think Marvel is really taking a good look at everything that they've done over the past handful of years since Phase 4 started. I think they're looking at what worked and what didn't work, not only movies with the fans, but also how they went about making movies and how they went about making Disney Plus shows as well. I think they're looking at their strategy of how they handled things, and I think they're finally changing it. And yes, Disney CEO Bob Iger did confirm that they spread themselves a little too thin when it came to Marvel, and he confirmed that they did rely on Marvel and Star Wars to fulfill Disney Plus content. And in doing so, producing so much content, they diluted the quality of content. And that's nice to acknowledge, that's nice to talk about, but it's one thing to talk about it and another thing to actually do something about it, which is what I believe Marvel is finally doing. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense for Marvel Studios to skip out on Comic-Con this year, and we'll get into that in just a bit. What's interesting is that, and this is of course objective, but Captain America Brave New World was a decent movie. Depending on who you ask, you could hear that it was a great movie, or you could hear that it was an okay movie, or a bad movie. But generally, the movie is regarded as good. Not great, not bad, but good. Thunderbolts, however, is mostly regarded as a great movie. Again, it depends on who you ask, but overall, it's regarded as a great film. Which begs the question, why did neither of these movies break $500 million? Now, to answer that, you have to dive into those big questions that people have been asking for a while now, like, is superhero fatigue real? Are people done with going to the movies and they'd simply prefer to sit at home and wait till it comes out on streaming? These are the big questions that the studios have to ask themselves, and I believe the answers to these questions are causing the studios to really take time to examine their strategies when it comes to making movies and shows. Because the reality is, superhero fatigue isn't really a thing. However, bad movie and bad show fatigue is certainly real. And I think this is at least what Marvel Studios and Warner Brothers have realized, and hopefully Lucasfilm as well, because there have been some delays and there have been some focus shifts over at Lucasfilm that point to them taking their time to try and get it right. Fingers crossed on that, we'll see. And Disney in general, I think, is starting to see that they can't just produce a movie based on a popular IP and people just flood to the movie theaters thinking that it's going to be a hit no matter what. For example, according to the Diz Insider, Aladdin 2, Maleficent 3, and The Jungle Book 2 have all been officially canceled by Disney. No doubt decided after the massive flop of Snow White, but I think Disney really is starting to realize that just because people know the characters in the franchise franchises doesn't mean that they're just going to go watch anything. It has to be good. They have to get back to the storytelling. And for Marvel Studios in particular, I think they have realized that they have to get back to the time where Marvel Studios movies were big events, before they were diluted by the mass amount of projects that Marvel Studios has been releasing. Back in the day when Phase 1 started, Marvel would release 1 to 2 movies per year. Phase 2 was 2 movies per year. And in Phase 3, the most they released in 1 year was 3 movies. But after Phase 3, we started to get a ton of Disney Plus shows. And the issue was, although some were great, many were not. But now, Marvel is claiming that their new strategy is to make 2 to 3 movies a year, and the Disney Plus shows that they do make won't be focused on main Marvel Cinematic Universe characters, and they won't be required to watch the movies to know what's going on. I think this is a good strategy, and I also think it's a good strategy for them to not attend San Diego Comic-Con Hall H this year. Here's why, and the Wraps article also talks about this a little bit. Right now, all Marvel Studios would have to show at San Diego Comic-Con's Hall H is either revealing the entirety of Phase 6, which I don't think they can do because they don't know it yet, and I'll talk about that in just a bit, or they can show footage for their upcoming movie, The Fantastic Four First Steps, which I actually don't think would help, and I think Marvel Studios realized that as well. I don't think showing more footage of the Fantastic Four First Steps at Hall H is going to get people any more excited than they already are to see the Fantastic Four. They've shown us a good amount of footage in the trailers, and the movie's coming out in 20 days. But it's also coming out the second day of Comic-Con. Comic-Con is July 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th. Fantastic Four comes out the 25th, right in the middle of Comic-Con. So people can just go see the movie, but marketing at San Diego Comic-Con probably won't affect the box office that much. And the studios know this, according to The Wrap, as they spoke with marketing executives who said this: "The challenge is compounded when studios have films releasing close to Comic-Con dates, which explains why Superman and Fantastic Four are no-shows. Superman will have already been in theaters for 2 weeks, and Fantastic Four opens the weekend of Comic-Con. You don't really want to do something with a movie opening week or 2 in Hall H because it's like, I've seen so much of the campaign already, there's no surprise left." But here's where I think Marvel's plan gets really good. Marvel is skipping this year's Hall H, but next year's Hall H is going to be incredibly big for them. And actually, them skipping this year will build up a lot of anticipation for next year. Also, Marvel Studios being quiet about what is going on in Phase 6 is also going to build a lot of anticipation. Fans are going to want to know what the full Phase 6 schedule looks like, and we're going to cover that in one of our next videos, so if you're curious about that, be sure to stay tuned. But there's going to be a lot of mystery surrounding Marvel Studios and the MCU come this time next year. And basically the only movie that Marvel Studios is going to be able to flaunt at Hall H is going to be Avengers Doomsday. Spider-Man Brand New Day is coming, but remember, that's Sony. And Sony typically does their own things. But we can also assume Marvel Studios by that time will have revealed the full cast. We'll probably get another production video, the infamous chair video, announcing the rest of the cast. So by the time that San Diego Comic-Con comes next year, anticipation will be at an all-time high, especially if they don't announce the full cast. Then people will be expecting the full cast announcement at Hall H. And this will most likely be when they decide to debut the trailer, 5 months before the release of Avengers Doomsday. Then after the trailer, they can bring out the cast and introduce the members who were already confirmed, but then confirmed by the trailer, or possibly not confirmed yet at all, and to have big surprises come out on stage, like possibly Halle Berry walking on stage, returning as Storm. And then to top it all off, after hyping the hell out of Avengers Doomsday, they can reveal the entirety of Phase 6, announcing new movies and shows. This will get people more hype than Marvel Studios showing up and kind of giving a lackluster performance at Hall H this year. Not that showing the Fantastic Four footage wouldn't be exciting, I'm super pumped for the Fantastic Four. But honestly, they've showed us all that we need for it. We can wait till the movie comes out now. Their only other option would be to give us Phase 6 in its entirety. However, I don't think they know what it is yet. We know that Marvel's schedule recently got switched up a lot, and this does affect the overall story of the MCU. And we know that Marvel Studios had plans for movies like Shang-Chi 2 and Doctor Strange 3 and more. but they haven't announced any release dates for these yet. And the reason for that is pretty simple. They were still finishing the script for Avengers Doomsday, plus originally Spider-Man Brand New Day was set to come out before Doomsday, then it was set to come out after, and now it's set to come out before once again. This also changes the script. Even if it's just for one character, it's a very important character, Spider-Man. This makes it pretty hard to determine where other movies are going to go when they don't have the full story figured out yet. So they don't know where they're going to go and how they would connect to the overall story. So announcing Phase 6 is not an option for Marvel Studios right now. So I really do think the best thing Marvel could have done is to have skipped Hall H this year, which is what they're doing. It's what DC is doing as well, and it's what Lucasfilm is doing. And I think it's a good strategy. If you can't blow people's minds with what you're going to present, and if you don't have all of your plans ready for your projects, don't show up and try to deliver something that's not going to get people insanely excited, because that's only going to contribute to the so-called superhero fatigue. Anything that's relatively lackluster contributes to that. However, if you come back in a year and you blow people's minds, people won't be thinking about superhero fatigue. They'll just be excited for the future. But then it's up to the studios to actually deliver great movies. And it sounds so crazy to say that I think the studios are finally realizing that. We don't want some generic crap that the studios think that we're going to like. We want actual great stories. No agenda pushing, no relying on past characters to make everything good, although Robert Downey Jr. is returning as Dr. Doom, but making original great stories with beloved characters. That's what we want. And if that means we don't get as many movies and shows as normal, then that's fine. And I think the studios are finally starting to realize that. And with the Fantastic Four, Spider-Man Brand New Day, Avengers Doomsday, and Secret Wars coming, along with Superman and the start of the new DCU, I actually think that's what we're in for. I think we're about to see superhero movies from Marvel and DC make huge comebacks very soon. But go ahead and let me know your thoughts about all of this in the comments down below. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to stay up to date on all things Marvel and DC. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and Snapchat. And as always, thank you all so much for watching. Woof woof.